Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Holderhek channel. So I wanted to go into the long-awaited Phase 5 PvE and PvP BIS videos. This one's gonna cover PvE, and then in the next video I'm gonna cover PvP because there's just too many things to talk about for one video, and nobody has that long of an attention span as I am learning. So in this video, what I want to go over is some cool things that you may be missing out on in the later stages of Phase 4 here, and then we'll go into your PvE BIS for Phase 5, including some, like, dark horse picks and some things you may want to do on trash. Cool, cool, let's go. The very first thing we're going to talk about is the Black Dragon Scale set. Now, obviously, this is not the absolute pinnacle PvE best in slot, but it is a really good baseline for most people to have as a, like, this is a really good amount of attack power and crit, and this would work out very well for your PvE needs. Now, this is what I'm going to be using to compare against all my other sets to show the pros and cons of those sets, and moving forward, these sets will also have world boss loot, and trust me, I realize that world bosses are not accessible to most people, so I'm going to be giving you options to replace the items that come from the world bosses. We just have to acknowledge that the world bosses drop the best stuff that we can use, at least right now. And with the Black Dragon Scale set, as before, I've kind of told myself that I wasn't going to do this because it makes me make, I don't know, 55 different sets when I'm trying to talk about, like, one thing. But I've included a 9% hit version and a 6% hit version for everything I'm talking about, just so you troll boys and you cowboys can get benefits from these things without having to make the gear swaps yourself. Although, honestly, the gear swaps you would have to make are really not that big brain. You would get a band of Ahn'Qiraj, you would get an Ahn'Qiraj tooth pendant, you would get a belt of preserved heads, and you would wear that stuff, and it would be great. And also, finally, just going to confront the elephant in the room. Of course, most of us are not going to be able to get a Drakefang talisman because most people are bad players and give those to people who won't benefit as much from it as we will, which that entire list is literally everyone else in the game. Nobody else benefits from it as much as we do, but hey, guess what? I don't make the rules, I just make the lists. My rant is over, we're gonna move on. Okay, this is where the fun begins. Let's talk about Phase 5 Best in Slot. So many new items open up to us. So many feral druid tears shall be shed, and potentially some rogue ones too. But man, there's a lot to go over here. So we're gonna start off with finally replacing the Eye of Ahn'Qiraj, or potentially the Ahn'Qiraj tooth pendant, with the Barbed Choker. This thing's just a beautiful, beautiful item. 44 attack power, 1 crit, 10 stamina. Bro, it's like you're gonna be wearing this thing for a really, really long time. So you should definitely pick that up. The Mantle of Wicked Revenge. This is your best in slot till the end of the game. Look at this. Look at this beautiful, beautiful item, dude. It's like they finally decided to put good itemization on gear. Unfortunately, it doesn't have int, and unfortunately, it's leather. But man, is this so good. It's so good, and it looks pretty cool too, to be honest. You're gonna pick up the Cloak of Concentrated Hatred. Dude, now we can finally just never ever worry about stupid world boss drops ever again. This thing just completely poops on the Puissant Cape, so pick it up if you can. It's amazing. Warriors may not want it because it has hit, but the rogues definitely will, and the druids probably will, so whatever. Obsidian Mail Tunic. This is my particular choice to replace Savage Gladiator. Because you have so much crit on your gear, you start to get over crit cap with world buffs, so you can swap out some crit for items that just have a completely ridiculous amount of attack power. Obviously, without world buffs, I would still take Savage Gladiator Chain over Obsidian Mail Tunic, but it's nice to be able to replace something after Phase 1, right? It's like, after Phase 5, dude, like, even in Blackwing Lair, even in Zul'Gurub, a lot of us are still running around with stuff from Phase 1. So it's just finally nice to be able to change some stuff up. You'd pick up the Karachi Executioner Bracers. Again, now you're going to be fighting Feral Druids and Rogues for pretty much everything. These things are incredible. Get them if you possibly can. The Salt Edge of Insanity. Oh my god, dude. It's going to be like having a Hand of Ragnaros that is an axe. It's not quite there on the top end damage, but oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Your BIS PvP weapon, your BIS PvE weapon, your BIS style weapon, your BIS salt weapon, your BIS. It's just so good, dude. It's so good. I don't know, like, what stars have to particularly align for you to get this thing, but you should get this thing. Very, very important. We get, watch out guys, up to 30 damage increased on your shocks. And since your shocks have I could be wrong, I think it's like a 40% coefficient, so hooray, like 13 extra damage on your shocks. Thanks, Blizz. Gloves of Enforcement. Again, dude, look at the stats on these things. Like, your stats. Well, when we get done with this, I'm gonna compare like phase 4 BIS to phase 5 BIS, dude, and it's nuts. It's just nuts. Like, the power creep from phase 4 to phase 5 is insane. The power creep from, if you went from phase 4 to phase 6, it's like an entire expansion of difference. It's just stupid. But anyway, Gloves of Enforcement, pick those up. They're amazing. Nothing's gonna replace them in PvE, except in certain situations, and we'll talk about that later. Belt of Never-Ending Agony. Dude, I mean, this is kind of like one of those items where it's a dream item. It's not quite on the same level of dream item as a Drakefang Talisman, because there aren't quite as many rogues in raids anymore. But I think every rogue wants this damn thing. Probably every Feral Druid. I don't know exactly what Feral Druid BIS is, but it's just, look at it. Look at it. It's amazing. Okay? And, I'll go over potential side grades when we get done here, so don't think that you have to get all this stuff. Scaled Sand Reaver Leggings. Thankfully, you'll probably have very little competition on these. They're incredible. It's basically like wearing Crown of Destruction on your ass, which is really, really nice and something we all wish we could do. It'd be nice and toasty. Boots of the Vanguard. These will replace your Boots of Shadow Flame if you have Boots of Shadow Flame. They're just better in every way. If you need the hit, obviously you would use Boots of Shadow Flame, but these are just better. They're just better, so wear them. Ring of Karachi Fury. This is an interesting item, and I've talked about it many, many times. The Ring of Karachi Fury is basically just a quick strike ring with a little bit more stamina. So the thing is, it's like, I still don't even have a quick strike ring, because I think in the entirety of our 865 Molten Core runs, we've seen like 3 of them, and the first 2 people to get them quit the game, so that's fun. But anyway, so I don't even have a quick strike ring yet, but a quick strike ring is essentially a Q loot, and you're gonna be wearing 2 quick strike rings, okay? So you wear Ring of Karachi Fury and quick strike ring, and it's amazing. So then we move on to your trinket choices. You'd finally be replacing your Hand of Justice again in world buff scenarios, and there's debates on Black Hand's Breath versus Hand of Justice, and there's been multiple times where I've replaced my Hand of Justice with a Drakefang Talisman and said that was BIS. But basically, guys, like, everything has nuance, okay? Everything has nuance. So let's rewind for 2 seconds. So let's say you have Black Hand's Breath and Hand of Justice. It's rant time. If you're fully world buffed, and when you proc Elemental Devastation, which you should potentially be using, even in Phase 5, even without Winter's Chill, with world buffs, you should still be using Elemental Devastation. It should still be the top DPS spec, I hope, I think. I'm pretty sure it still will be. If it's not, I'm wrong, my bad. But if you're running Elemental Devastation, and you're over, like, the crit cap, then you don't need Black Hand's Breath, and you can replace it with something else. So we're going to assume that with this gear, right, so it says our crit chance is 18.30, For whatever reason, and in multiple gear sets, I've noticed that 60 upgrades reduces your overall crit chance by like 7%. Now, 5 of that is from talents. I don't know what the hell the other 2% is from. I'm not going to dig into it. It could even be worse than that. But you would add 7% crit on that. Then you add up all your world buffs, all your raid buffs, your potion buffs. With Elemental Devastation, you're over crit cap, okay? So you don't need Black Hand's Breath anymore. Anyway, that's my big long rant about Black Hand's Breath versus Hand of Justice that now transitions into the Earth Strike and the Drakefang Talisman. So, Hand of Justice still good, yes? Hand of Justice not as good as Drakefang Talisman, in my opinion. Maybe my opinion's wrong, but I like my opinion. I make videos about my opinion, and here they are. So, my God, that was a really, really long rant, and I'm sorry. I'll probably, like, add a timestamp to just like completely skip this rant. Whatever. So, Earthstrike, you get it from Cenarian Circle Rep. It's amazing. You get a better trinket than this thing in Nax called Slayer's Crest, which is this plus attack power on top of it like all the time. So, of course, that's amazing. But Earthstrike's really, really, really good. You would wear Earthstrike and Drakefang Talisman. You'd pop Earthstrike when you procced Crusader and Elemental Devastation, and then, you know, you just pop everything, Blood Fury, hope for the best, and then you utilize that extra attack power. So that's gonna be, right here, if you're an orc, this is your absolute PvE BIS, like single target DPS BIS. We'll go into side grades in a minute. I'm gonna give you guys a list of like what you could get as a new character, and that's gonna include basically side grades for everything here, but we talked about 6% hit BIS. Let's talk about 9% hit BIS for our cow and troll boys. We swapped out a couple different things, but it doesn't change all that much, thankfully. Boots of the Vanguard go back to Boots of Shadowflame. That's an easy 2% hit. And then we're going to swap out that Quick Strike ring for a Master Dragon Slayer ring to get that extra hit. And you could potentially, personal choice, swap this to Don Julio's if you want more crit, and you could swap Obsidian Mail to Savage Gladiator if you want more crit. But at this point in the game, we're so damn close to crit cap, stacking AP becomes even more beneficial than stacking crit, and that's what we're doing right now. I mentioned it, so let's talk about it. You just made a shaman, you've watched a couple of my videos, you want to be a bonky boy, but you don't have any gear. So let me show you how to get as much gear as possible in the easiest way possible. We're talking about ZG, AQ, and maybe a little bit of Blackrock Spire, okay? So I threw together this list right here. It's pretty good. All this stuff either comes from ZG, AQ, or like I said, Blackrock Spire, with one exception, and that would be the Abyssal Male Legs. But these things you could probably get from the auction house at this point, and it won't be a problem at all. They'll be cheap, they'll be plentiful, and if they're not, then you can, of course, just go down and kill the 5-man bosses down there in Silithus. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. So, Southwind Helm, this is from AQ20. It can be a discount Crown of Destruction for you. Eye of Bakar, drops from Bakar. If you don't have that, then of course you could go all the way back to the Mark of Forging. It's a lot worse, to be honest, but it's not that much worse. But again, drops from Bakar. So, fairly easy to get 3 times a week, I think is fairly easy to get. The Chitinous Shoulder Guards, this also drops from AQ20. These are a direct downgrade from your absolute PvE BIS. As you can see, 5 agility, 7 stamina, and 5 strength off of the best shoulders you'll ever have in the entire game is really not that bad, to be honest. Azulian Tiger Hide, very easy way to get 1% hit. I say very easy way in that I've ran ZG, 12 times now since it's come out? I don't know, more than that. And I've yet to see one drop, but I'm sure they drop for other people because I've seen people wearing them. Ruined Bloodstained, same thing, comes from ZG. I would say it's easy to get the Savage Gladiator chain, but we all know that it's not easy to get the Savage Gladiator chain, so let's just assume Ruined Bloodstained is easier than that. Black Mist comes from the Beast in Upper Blackrock Spire. You're going to be doing Upper Blackrock Spire to get one of these trinkets anyway, so let's just hope they drop the first time you do it. Jeklik's Crusher. This is like a discount hobo hammer version of the Drake Talon Cleaver. Now obviously, because it's not an axe, we miss out on weapon skill, but we don't have to worry about that too much right now since this is for a new character and you're not super worried about pushing like 100th percentile parses, so you can use a hammer and you'll be fine, right? Jeklik's Crusher, pick that thing up. It looks pretty cool too, and the proc is pretty good, and because it's a chance on hit damage proc, that means that proc itself can proc itself and can proc Wind Fury, so that's pretty good too, right? Cool. Sea Fury Gauntlets, these are like, I would call them the PvP version of the Chromatic Gauntlets, which we're wearing in Phase 4, right there. They're not quite as good, but you do get a little bit of intellect and stamina, and a little bit of MP5, which is, it's cool, it's not bad. Assyrian's Binding, this is a great belt. Drops from Assyrian. You could replace your Therazane's Link with this thing. You could potentially side grade the Belt of Never-Ending Agony with this thing. I mean, 2 crit, a dodge, 1 hit, and 10 intellects. Not a bad belt. No attack power makes me kind of sad face, but I wouldn't be too upset if I was wearing Assyrian's Binding over like anything else. Abyssal Mail Legs, of course, we were talking about these before. If you don't want to buy those off the auction house, you could get the blood-stained leg plates. Those are like better than the leg plates of destruction from Dire Maul. These are also from ZG. The blood-drenched foot pads, of course, these things have hit. Hit's great, we need hit. It's 1 crit, 1 hit. Not too bad. Of course, there's other items in the game like the blood mail boots, that also have hit, but let's just say we're just trying to completely gear up in ZG and AQ, and boom, here they are. But of course, in AQ, remember, in AQ, we also have the Boots of the Vanguard, but whatever. We're just going to use these because they have hit. You got the Seal of Jinn and the Band of Jinn here. A great ring combination. Other than just like your BIS epic ring combinations, these 2 rings together, you got 50 attack power and close to 2 crit. And 1 hit on these 2 rings. That's not bad at all. And then of course, Hand of Justice. Try to get a Hand of Justice. It's fun, it's good. You don't have to farm your brains out for a Hand of Justice, but it's a pretty nice item to have. If you really wanted to make this as easy as possible, and let's say you got lucky in AQ, you could potentially Rune of the Guard Captain instead of Hand of Justice. And then the Blood Drenched, you could go Boots of the Vanguard, and there you go. You're still at 6% hit. You don't have that potential of an extra attack on Hand of Justice, but there you go. This is your new Shaman gear set. Do you see why I separated the PvP video from the PvE video? A, because I love to ramble, and B, there's just too much to talk about, man. It's just too much. We're in the home stretch now. We're gonna talk about like 2 more things, and then this video is gonna be over, and I can start editing the PvP video, right? So I wanna talk about your 2.5 set, and the items that come along with that 2.5 set. Now the Stormcaller set, which is the Shaman 2.5, is a weird Ellie Resto hybrid healing damage set, which tells me that it's a PvP set. And we're going to talk about that way more, again, in the PvP video, but it does have a use in PvE, and that is for trash damage, okay? Now, this is just my take on trash damage, but a lot of trash is AoE, and what is our AoE other than Fire Nova Totem and Magma Totem, right? So we need spell power, we need MP5, we need spell crit, we need intellect. This gear provides a lot of that. So it's actually going to help our staying power for trash, it's going to help our trash DPS, and it's going to be a pretty decent PvP set, but we'll talk about that later. But I'm going to include this whole thing in the description below, along with all these other sets I've created, so you can get an idea of my mindset moving into this phase. But the Stormcaller set is not completely without use in PvE. It's definitely great for its spell power and its spell crit, and it's great for trash DPS. I might even wear it on like Fangchris because the ads, you know what I mean? But it's pretty good. So I'll have that in there. Collect this set if you can. It's a really good PvP set. It's a really good trash damage PvE set. And yeah, that's about it for this set. Now, the very last thing I want to talk about, and this is just something to kind of like pique your titillation coming up on Phase 5. I can't confirm that this is true, okay? And I just want to say that I can't confirm that this is true because I don't have any way to test this. But there's a mechanic in this game called a Phantom Strike. And Phantom Strikes happen when hits are registered on a mob that are counted as like physical damage hits, but they're not actually physical damage hits. Now we have speculated, okay? And this is your treat for sticking through to the end of this video. We have speculated that the Black Grasp of the Destroyer, on a successful melee or ranged attack, gain 8 mana and if possible drain 8 mana from the target. We hope that these gloves produce a phantom hit when they drain that mana, which could mean, potentially, that every time they proc, which is every swing, you have a chance at a Wind Fury. Now, let's be completely honest. If that happens, Blizzard will likely nerf it into the ground because it doesn't benefit warriors. But if it does happen, that would be my time for you in that week that it works to make a PvP video. That's definitely what I would say about those. And if for some reason that happens and it doesn't get patched, well then, you can only imagine. So I just wanted to leave you guys with that potential. Get one of those things made. I'm sure I'll get one made. You know, I had these things back in vanilla and I wasn't super impressed with them. But then again, I wasn't anywhere near as 5-head as I am now on all the theory crafting and testing. I just hit stuff hard and it worked. So I'll leave you with that. The Black Grasp of the Destroyer might potentially be the single most game-changing item in all of World of Warcraft for an enhancement shaman. Big if. Big if. But if. Okay, my friends, my family, my chads, my dudes, my 0.01% ladies. That's gonna be it for the PvE Phase 5 video. I hope it was fun. I hope it was good for you guys. I've had a little bit of delay making these things because of my extreme addiction to the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I apologize for that. But I love that game. I don't apologize for it. But I'll start making my videos once a week again. I know it's been like 2 weeks, but I'll keep them going once a week. Yeah. So hit me up on the Discord listed below, guys. If you like these videos, you want me to keep making them, give me that subscribe, give me that like button. It makes me feel happy. It gives my brain the good chemicals. Also follow me, sub to me on Twitch. That would be fantastic. I stream 4 days a week. 3 times are the video games. 1 time is the fitness. I got my heavy bag set up. We did a little kickboxing stream a couple of days ago. That was fun. You can check that out in the highlight reels. So that's going to be it. I hope you have a fantastic day, week, month, year. Stay safe. Wear your mask because apparently that helps. And until next time, bye-bye. N64 kid does have a more stable childhood. That's confirmed. That's confirmed. I asked a bunch of people, and every single person in my guild, at least, who owned an N64 growing up, and not a PlayStation. And this is not a judgment call. This is reality. They're nicer. They're friendlier. They have stable jobs, but they are a hell of a lot less fun to talk to. Anybody who owned a PlayStation, unstable, bipolar, angry, loud, really great dudes to hang out with. So, Give or take, do you want to be a fun individual with a tortured past? You grew up with a PlayStation. Do you want to be a not-so-fun individual who's kind of like the white bread of society? Like, we need you. You're good for sandwiches, but you're just kind of there? Then you probably grew up with an N64.